Oh, that's very interesting. Maybe a lot of entertainment resource ER, entertainment resource ER, entertainment news entertainment news for example. For instance, and so called. Different variety of shows, absolutely, and you're welcome. You're welcome, family members and friends. For example, a lot of direct works and derivative works, a lot of direct works and derivative works, and for example, when you're of course recognized, we're family members, FMs and family members, FMs and family and friends. For example, and we're family and friends, FAFs, family and friends, FAFs, and you of course recognize and acknowledged by me, of course. And a lot of terms or phrases, and a lot of interesting books that are writings and jokes and medicines and cures and healed up and cured up. Oftentimes very prolonged long duration, healed up and cured up, and revived and rejuvenated if need necessary, maybe have revived and rejuvenated if need necessary. A lot of interesting books that are writing jokes, the so-called wizards, the chalice and linchpins, for example, the so-called wizards, the chalices and linchpins, and the so-called chalice and linchpins, for example, very important medicine supplies, materials and resources, medicines, and oftentimes healed up and cured up, for example, very important foods and drinks, for example, very important foods and drinks, and very appropriate and safe and sound, for example. Very important resources, money, currency, supplies, materials, our works and jobs, and very appropriate and safe and sound. Absolutely, and we're family members, FMs, and family members and friends, for example. And reading this aloud, a lot of interesting science fiction and adventures, for example, and shielded, blah, 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 armor, fortified, and could shielded, and layers and levels of security, absolutely, of course, and blah, 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 armor, fortified, encrypted, coded, shielded, blah, 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 armor, fortified, encrypted, coded, shielded, age, in your year, of course, for example, very obvious and very apparent, although much is going on, perhaps, maybe very obvious and very apparent, although much is going on, maybe shooting the breeze and blocking, talking, maybe talking, bluffing and teasing, joking, and bluffing and teasing, joking, and kidding, bluffing and teasing, joking. Maybe about that, maybe not about that, maybe shooting the breeze and talking, bluffing and teasing, joking. And a lot of terms, generic phrases, maybe reading aloud and saying it aloud, and maybe verbatim or summarized, abbreviated and paraphrased, summarized, abbreviated, and different pronunciations, spellings and pronunciations, and a lot of jokes and bluffing and teasing, joking, and different pen names, writers' names, author names, aliases, also known as aliases and pen names, or writers' names, author names, scientist names, for example. We've got our patents and copyrights, our formal, official, unofficial, or official, unofficial, so-called unofficial, official, so-called official, formal, informal, so-called, for example, patents and copyrights, and for example, in our trust funds, wealth funds, resource funds, and our riches, wealth, currencies, monies, riches, wealth, and resources, for example, we're family members, FMs, and family members and friends, for example, and we have a real DNA, genetics, genome, genotypes, haplogroups, bodies, and rocotocomasium, and our fellow members, citizens, real members, DM, and dual citizens, DFC, and our fellow members, citizens, professionals, and our fellow high-ranking leaders, our presidents, our co-presidents, and our fellow family members or friends, our presidents, our co-presidents, our senators, our co-senators, and our fellow members, citizens, professionals, and organizations, groups, militaries, government sections, species, ethnicities, races, and species, for example, and we're family members, FMs, and family members, FMs, and family and friends, and very obvious and very apparent, and very appropriate and safe and sound, and very excellent, fine and good about 100% of the time. Prolonged long duration, excellent, fine and good about 100% of the time. We're reading aloud and saying aloud, and for example, and we're family members, FMs, and family members, FMs, and family and friends, for example.